Hey everybody, what's going on? It's Joe again with the Neutral Zone Report, and today we're going to go over the AFC West predictions, and we're going to break it down for you here in a second. Before we jump in, I just want to say thank you to everybody who's been viewing the videos and liking them, and who have subscribed and have been commenting and kind of challenging my opinion. I truly like that, and it truly makes me work harder to make better videos and put better things out there for you guys. So with that being said, we're going to hop into our final AFC division before we move on to the NFC here in a couple days. Last division in the AFC West, the Raiders, Chiefs, Broncos, and Chargers is who we got today. And it's going to be a loaded, fun division and a lot of good divisional games coming out of these four teams in the future. Let's hop into the number one spot. The ferocious LA Chargers are going to be your divisional champs this year in 2019 in the AFC West. This is probably one of my top 1, 2, or 3 power ranking teams in the whole NFL, which we'll get into next week. But I got the Chargers up top at 13-3 plus or minus 1. So they're capped out there at 14 wins. They're going to be that dominant and that good of a team. Last year in the AFC, they were offensively ranked 6th overall, and I have them pushed up 3 more spots this year, which, again, offensive, defensive stuff we're going to get into here in a minute. And then defensively last year, they were 6th. And look at that right there. The number 1 AFC defensive team for 2019 is those LA Chargers. So definitely too many defensive players to make note of, but I guess that's a good transition into the notables with Thomas Davis, the 13-year pro who spent his time in Carolina playing for the Carolina Panthers. So he's coming over here to join the LA Chargers, and definitely day one he'll make a significant impact being that veteran leadership. The guy has over 1,000 combined tackles in his Hall of Fame-esque NFL career, and definitely doesn't make your defense any worse when you have a guy like this. But him with the Bozas and the Davises and the Derwin James of the world, they're kind of deadly all over the field. So I like it all put together, and I like him having a pretty good year, and I like that defense going number 1 overall. The next notable I'm going to hit on here is a guy I really don't want to talk about because I kind of want to keep him quiet for my fantasy team, but it's Hunter Henry. Hunter Henry was out last season due to an ACL injury he had at the beginning of that 2018 season. But in 2017, he recorded 45 receptions for 579 yards, 4 touchdowns. And the year before that, he had 36 receptions for 478 yards and 8 touchdowns. He will be a top 10 tight end in fantasy this year, which we'll get into when we release those fantasy videos. But I like Hunter Henry. He makes that offense that much better. They're already explosive, but when you can have a guy like Henry come in who's potentially looking at anywhere from 40 to 50 receptions for 600 to 800 yards with 6 or 7 scores, which he's incredibly capable of, that gives you a team that is 11th last year with a roughly 5,900 all-purpose offensive yards, and he makes such a significant impact where you could be talking, 63, 64, 6,500 yards out of your whole offense. He's that big of a jolt, especially at the tight end spot, and that's why I would have to push him there, AFC to the number 1 with other additions, but they've improved that much, and potential top 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We'll find out here in a week or so with NFL rankings on how high their offense is. Finally, to end it all out, my last bullet point there under notables, I have all or nothing. If I'm giving the team 13 wins and statistically I'm ranking them top 3 in the defense and offense in their conference, that has to be a team that their only objective is to win the Super Bowl. If the LA Chargers go to the AFC Championship game and lose, that's a disappointing season. If they go to the Super Bowl and lose, that's a disappointing season. The only win that this team can aim for this year is to win it all. So the Chargers got to do it, and there's no excuses. I understand the Patriots, you have to get past them or whoever it may be for, their divisional game and the championship game. It doesn't matter. They have to, go to bat and knock it out of the park, because if they're not in the Super Bowl this year, it's not a great year for the Chargers, and teams don't get, 3, 4, 5, 6 shots at deep postseason runs like, let's say the Patriots or whoever. So now or never for the Chargers. All or nothing. Hunter Henry, big time. Thomas Davis, another key notable. And just for good measure, let's close it out here with Derwin James, a second-year pro. So there you go, what a stud James is. Just as a rookie last year in 2018, he had 105 combined tackles, 3.5 sacks, and 3 picks. So he's going to be setting the new standard for the safety position in the NFL, and he will be, in my opinion, maybe the face of the Chargers after Rivers and maybe a couple other guys depart. But definitely the future right there. Definitely one of the leaders there on the back end of the ball. So defensively, AFC, they're ranked number 1. And that's 5 spots up from 6 last year. And then offensively, I have them 3rd. So going to be a nice 3-spot jump. Powerhouse offensive team in my book. And 13-3 with a +1, -1 overall, giving them potentially the best record in the NFL. You'll find out in the NFL Power Rankings next week. But 13-3, there's your LA Chargers. So on to the next we go. Bold prediction for my next team this year. I still have them 2nd in the division, but they are going to be a totally different team, and that's your hometown Kansas City Chiefs. So I have Kansas City coming in 2nd in the AFC West with a 9-7 record. They are not going to win 10 games this year. You heard it here first. The Kansas City Chiefs will not win 10 games in the 2019 NFL season. I'll put some money on it. I'll bet a paycheck on it. They're not going to get 10, and that's just a fact. Sound off in the comment section. I know you're going to be upset about it, but let me know how you feel about that. And 9-7. I know it's a +1, -1, so I do give them the 1 for the 10th win on the leeway, but I'm telling you that they're not going to get it. So I'll give them a little chance to do it, but not happening. So 9-7, could be 8-8. Who knows? But that's where I have them at. 2nd in the division. You have Oakland and Denver underneath them for obvious reasons. And in 2018, we all know what they did in the offense, and they were 1st in the AFC. This year I have them 6th, so dropping 5 spots. In 2018, they were almost dead last in the AFC. Defensively, this year I have them pushed up to the 14th spot there in the AFC, which means they're going to be pretty far back in the NFL standings when we do the defensive NFL power rankings. So let's hit that top notable right there. Where the offense come from? Probably the players that have already been established there in KC, which is Sammy Watkins and Travis Kelce. Travis Kelce, probably the best tight end in the NFL. You can make a case for Kittle or Ebron, I guess, statistically, but Travis Kelce will get his. If Sammy Watkins can stay healthy, he'll get his. And Patrick Mahomes is going to have to use that arm that people truly believe in and his elusiveness to definitely be one of the top QB rushers next year in order for them to get something relative to what they had last year in offensive yards. I guess since we are on Mahomes right now, the MVP winner from last year, phenomenal season. You can't take that away from him. He did get 50 touchdown passes, 12 interceptions for just over 5,000 yards. I don't know it off the top of my head, but I believe it's 5,090 or 95, so somewhere real close to that. And he truly was the MVP, and without a doubt, so much fun to watch throughout the course of all 17 weeks.
Just like his dad, Pat Mahomes, spent 11 years pitching in the major leagues. Oh, the sling to Tyreek Hill, and look out! Tyreek Hill, game-breaking speed, touchdown!
Mahomes at shoulder shake, buys time, fires on the run.
Watch the arm angle, almost underhand here, back across the body. I don't know what sort of flexibility. That's unbelievable.
He's a contortionist.
Matters. Mahomes has the time, delivers perfectly downfield. Anthony Sherman, touchdown.
And shakes down the sideline, getting free. It's Kareem Hunt. And Kareem Hunt is able to get Kansas City right back into the game.
Kelsey yet to have a catch tonight. 3rd and 11. What can Mahomes come up with? Cross body, and he finds him. Finally, at a big moment.
Hopefully in this upcoming year, Mahomes can have a lot of success, and even more so his offensive weapons can stay out of trouble. It's a shame that Hunt left the team the way he did, and if that happens, which it looks like it's going to happen to Hill, him leaving in another kind of embarrassing fashion for that organization. So with that being said, let's transition back to the Chiefs without Hunt and Hill, and that's your 9-7 team here in the upcoming 2019 season. Dropping 5 spots offensively there in the AFC. improving one spot defensively in the AFC, going from 15th to 14th. I told you where the offense is coming from. Maybe somewhere else. If there is offense relative to last year, best case scenario, that's your 9-7 record. And lastly, Patrick Mahomes. We'll see how he comes back after winning the MVP with 50 touchdown passes and how he's going to perform, and maybe build onto his legacy or show people that he had the tools to do it, and without him, he might not be so successful. So, second place finishers in the AFC, Kansas City Chiefs. Let's go to number 3 here, which will be your Oakland Raiders. I have the Oakland Raiders finishing third in the AFC West this year with a 6-10 record with a +/-1. I like them there at 6, locked in pretty good though. If anything, I guess I would probably go more 7. They are improving, not maybe in the way people want them to improve with the personnel they're bringing in, but they are definitely improving as a team. So 6-10, and maybe that 7th win. Now I have them right there at 13th in the offense in the AFC this year, dropping 3 spots from last year, and also dropping 1 spot defensively last year in the AFC. You just heard me say that they are improving, but yet I have them offensively and defensively pushed down. I've said this before, and I try to make a very good logical case when I say just because you fall in a rank doesn't mean you're getting worse on that side of the ball. It has to do with a lot of things. Some of those things may include how well you are doing on the offensive side of the game, which will reflect to your defense and what numbers are skewed there, and then vice versa of how well your defense is performing. So first off, I have them dropping 3 spots offensively and 1 spot defensively. It's not a super huge jump. They were 4-12 last year. They're 6-10. It's not like I'm having them win 7 more games and I'm making these numbers. It's still relatively close to where they performed last year, but their offense will be better statistically. They will get more offensive production, but they will just fall because of how teams perform against them and certain instances that happen in garbage time that can, over the span of not 1 or 2 games, make a big impact, but over the course of 14, 15, 16 games, make a big impact on end result, offensive and defensive numbers, which happens with the Bills last year and how they had the number 1 pass defense, which isn't true, and how the New Orleans Saints had the number 1 rush defense last year, which isn't true. These things just happen, and stats don't lie, but neither do records. So there you have it, 6-10. ±1, 3 spots back in the offense, 1 spot back in the defense, but a better Oakland Raiders team. They're on the right path. It's a weird path, but certainly one that's going in a better direction. So that's where I got them right there. And then regarding the notables, Jacobs and Renfro. Jacobs is going to be an overused rookie running back for the Oakland Raiders because they're having some issues right now in the backfield. Pretty successful running back in college, and expect him to get about 75% of that workload. I have him that high on the pedestal in the backfield. And then Renfro, a lifelong, I felt like he was at Clemson for 28 years, but I think of just a 4-year player there at Clemson and won a couple titles. This guy has the tangibles to be a phenomenal slot receiver, and he did that incredibly well in college. I feel like he maybe was undervalued in the draft, but phenomenal slot receiver. Wouldn't be surprised if in about 15-20 minutes the Patriots had him, because they know how to utilize guys like that, and he should be a really good fit for the Oakland Raiders. And I'm going to give him a couple years to develop, though. I'm not going to say off the bat he's a super big impact player, but a few years down the line, this is maybe one of your better yards after catch slot receivers, just because he's so crafty over the middle and has phenomenal field vision. So keep an eye on him. Raiders or robbers is the second notable. To make that one pretty quick, the Raiders are the Raiders, or are they the robbers, as in maybe crooks, felons? I don't want to dig too deep in these guys' criminal history or recent news or old news about some specific players that they have or that they have brought in, but you got to make sure you bring in high quality guys when you construct any team, and you want people that have the correct values and do the right thing on and off the field. That's what we like about the Walter Payton Award, and it's a very honorable award for the individuals who do receive it. But make sure you bring in the right guys and not the bad boys out there in the field with bounties like it used to be. Just stick to the correct moral compass that everyone's supposed to have, and have these guys be competitors. I know people make mistakes, but this is more of a beware. It's regarding any team really, but the Oakland Raiders kind of make it apply right now. So beware who you bring in, and make sure you bring in the right guys. Lastly, as a notable, the John Gruden will-o'-the-wisp philosophy. So if you're familiar with that saying or that proverb, I believe it is, it'll make more sense. But to kind of simplify it, all I mean is that you have to understand what you're doing on the field if you're an athlete, and you have to understand the game plan, and everyone has to be on the same page. So if John Gruden, I don't know what goes on in the locker room, obviously, but his philosophy and the way he wants to do things has to be known to these guys, so they can all work together and go after that one goal that they set every week going into a new game. If no one knows what's going on and the philosophy is unclear and it's just kind of scattered and kind of junky, and it's not going to work out. It never has, and I don't think it'll ever will. So it might be fine. It might not be fine. I don't look at it as fine, but they have to have this direction that they sent out there, and that makes it look like all these guys are on the same page. So that's what I mean by the John Gruden will-o'-the-wisp philosophy. I know he's a smart guy, but when an organization gives you a lot of money, you have to perform even as a coach, and sooner or later, if they're not performing, he's going to have to answer to what's going on there in Oakland. I guess to recap, there they are. The Oakland Raiders are going to be your third team in the AFC West this year. Third place finishers, led by Derek Carr himself and John Gruden. 6-10, plus or minus 1. I like 6 though. Again, the 1 game leeway, but I like them. Locked at 6. Dropped 3 in the AFC offensive ranks. Dropped 1 spot in the AFC defensive ranks, but by no means is this team getting worse. They might shock me. They might shock some other people, depending how well they perform down the stretch with a little bit tougher schedule than last year, in my opinion. But 6-10, and coming up just a little bit short this year is your Oakland Raiders. But look out for these guys in the upcoming years, because there's a lot of promising things going on over there in Oakland. Last and definitely least over there in the West, it's your sky high Denver Broncos. So I've been talking a lot of trash with these last place finishers here in the other 3 AFC divisions, and to be honest with you, Denver's really not that bad. I have them obviously coming in 4th, debatable for 3rd here in the AFC West, but 4th in my final breakdown of them. And 2018 they were offensively ranked 9th. I have them 14th this year in the AFC, so a 5-spot drop, and then a 4-spot improvement defensively. So check that out. But I still have them at 5-11 with that 1 game leeway, so they could be pushing 6 wins. Who knows? Maybe 7. But 5-11, there are your numbers. Notables: Bradley Chubb. So Chubb in his freshman campaign combined for 60 tackles and 12 sacks. He was an incredible nuisance on the defensive side of the ball for opposing offenses, and this is a guy who is going to be one of those young guys who develop in one of the faces of the defense in the NFL. One of many, but Bradley certainly is going to be in Denver, in my opinion, for a long time. He's going to be a leader, and if he does the things he did last year, watch out. He might be one of the best ever to do it. So I got Bradley Chubb as a big-time notable, big-time defensive player for Denver this year, and he's going to be exciting to watch if you're a Denver fan. So I understand I have him 4th, but even if I'm rooting for the Broncos, I kind of like that defense, and I'm certainly expecting big things out of them. Regarding the second notable with Philip Lindsay and Royce Freeman, this is pertaining to the offense. Philip Lindsay was one of the highest running backs for yards per carry last year. I don't know the exact stat. I think it's 5.4 or 5.5. I know it's one of the two, but Philip Lindsay, and then you get to watch him work with Royce Freeman, who this could be a 1-2 punch that's top 5 in the league. I understand that's a stretch to some people, but Philip Lindsay certainly proved himself last year, and him and Royce can do some big things there in Denver, and maybe get some kind of spark going on the offensive side of things to push them up maybe further than 6. They are part of the reason why I do have them jumping 4 spots, but I really like these two, and watch out for Philip Lindsay and upcoming videos about the fantasies and top running backs, because this guy can certainly carry the ball. Lastly, for the notables, crazier things have happened. When I go and I project each team's records, I wish I could give everyone 16-0 just to kind of please the team, but I have to see it how I see fit. But there are some specific teams where I have them higher than people think and lower than people think, and not by a game, but by 4 or 5, because those things happen every year in the NFL. Now, I do have the Denver Broncos at 5-11, but at the end of the season, I wouldn't be upset if this prediction was off because they were close to 8 or 9 wins. And do I think that's going to happen? No, I don't. But they do have some relatively good offensive pieces. Their defense is not bad. It is a very good defense and will be top 15 in the NFL when everything is said and done. So, and I truly mean that. I mean, this could be definitely a shocking team of the year that sneaks in for a wild card spot and makes a potential epic playoff run. So I guess we'll find out. But as of right now, 4th in the AFC West, and that's where they're going to end up at 5-11. 9th last year again, offensively in the AFC. 14th, dropping 5 spots, having them jump 4 spots there defensively. So good things on the defensive side of the ball, and only getting better. Some good draft picks, but just not good enough this year. Watch out for Chubb. Watch out for that 1-2 punch in the backfield, and we'll see what happens. So with all that being said, if you watch the other videos, you can tell this one's a tad bit shorter, and I left out a couple visual clips, but I'm just trying to condense it because I have so many projects right now and so many things that I'm going to be putting out in the next couple weeks that, I feel like I could save a little time here and put it to something more important. So if there's something in particular in this video or any other video you want me to expand on, just leave a comment and I'll get back to you as soon as possible. I'll make sure I answer anything you want to know, and I can give you my reasoning behind anything I have here in the video. So with that being said, we got some cool audio and video equipment coming our way, so the audio will improve greatly, the visual effects will improve greatly. So bear with me through the learning curves and the growing pains, and these things are going to rock and roll shortly. But for now, that's your AFC West breakdown and predictions, and that's going to be your 4th AFC division video, which means we covered all the AFC teams, and here shortly in a day or two we're going to be moving on to the NFC. So I'm going to get those out to you guys, and until then, I'm Joe with the Neutral Zone Report. So long.